Hello everybody, and we are going to be looking up our Demo Pro here and getting it all loaded up, making sure that all of this is working and we got it all ready. Okay, so today we are talking about this enhanced threat that is for tomorrow, so the 2nd of June, it's Tuesday, and it's going to be covering basically everything that you can expect for this severe threat tomorrow. So we are seeing it in parts of Minnesota, Wisconsin, and even a little sliver of parts of Iowa. So it is a small range, and including the slight threat, it's in a very small area. So not expecting too crazy much of an outbreak. It's not like we're going to see it extended down to here. If anything, we could see extensions to fill the rest of Minnesota and the south corner, and then potentially more of the central portion of Wisconsin, and then potentially more of a sliver into parts of Iowa. So I'd say that's the biggest it could get, but we'll have to look and see. So what to expect for tomorrow? Basically, all of this stuff is going to be fueled by CAPE of 3,000 to 4,000, and that's at the mid-level, and so we could see some very big storms form out of this. And looking at all this, our biggest threats are going to be some large hail, potentially significant, 2 inches or more. That's the primary hazard. And then they are saying some storms will cluster and organize to grow upscale during the evening. And then that's whenever the damaging winds could affect parts of really this area, this target region. So severe thunderstorms are capable of large hail and strong wind gusts are expected in the region, in the Central Plains, and then that will be moving eastward into that Minnesota area. So the tornado threat as of right now for tomorrow is at that 5% in this region. Not expecting a big tornado threat, but hail-wise, we are seeing significant spread much into the west, into those plains. So that's definitely, we're seeing storms that are going to be firing up over the plains. So earlier in the day, we will track those, and then in the afternoon and the evening, we will see storm movement of this direction. So we will see them all kind of come from this region over here, and pretty much everything in this green is what you can expect storm development. And then we're going to expect arrows. Our arrows here are going to show we're going to see different storm lines all converging among this area, and we could see some longer track ones as this hail signature shows. We could see ones that could track this entire way, or we could see really short ones on the inside. But overall, we are seeing that storm movement is in this direction. So we could see some bigger threats start to occur into the overnight hours over into this region of Michigan, including down into the Great Lakes. We could see some of those storms travel that far. And then wind is another big threat. But overall, hail is our only significant threat. We do see that 30% wind, so there is going to be some gusty storms with this. So looking at what could happen storm-wise, we could see, if we go ahead and look at we're going to go ahead and flashback to this time since the new one isn't updated quite yet. We will see, looking at the reflectivity, tomorrow we'll start it in the morning hours here. We do see some of these storms are in the fire over here, and they are going to be traveling once again in this direction, just to give you an overall sense of what each storm motion is going to look like. And overall, we are seeing some individual little cells that are expected to form on the Namconis model, and it's really in the middle of the afternoon that we will see this whole line fire up, and then a bigger system, an MCS, potentially come behind it. And then we will see this form a squall line potentially happening from Minnesota clear down to Nebraska, and that is where we are expecting that damaging wind threat to come out of. Then we will see some individual supercells potentially occurring in the Great Lakes region. That is going to be because of heat. But as we look into the overnight hours, this big line of storms is moving down. So looking at damaging wind-wise, according to the NAM 3-kilometer CONUS, we are expecting really from 5 p.m. Eastern time on, so this will be 4 p.m. Central time on, is looking like the most severe. So we're really that mid-afternoon to after dinner time is where the production of these storms are going to be the worst for wind, and then we will see them travel overnight and then spread into the morning hours on Wednesday. So going back to our really target time, we'll look at, and we'll take the 21Z. We'll start out here because this is the middle of the afternoon. So if we just click on one of these cells, see what the environment's going to look like. What are we expecting overall? So there's a marginal tornado threat with this. We're not seeing too much of that kidney bean shape, but as you can see down here, there is a reading. So it's more than nothing. There is still that chance it could be non-tornadic. Supercells, they are expecting a weak possibility of supercells. They're on the SARS, they are saying that there could be a 60% chance of tornadoes with this and a 62% chance of significant hail. So some big time stuff looking at this. Cape is showing anywhere between really 2,600 and clear up to 4,500. So some big time, especially looking at the energy levels in the lift, we could see some big time storms coming out with some high tops. So we could see some of these storms with massive hail. We could see hail just from the updrafts, as I said, more than 2 inches. Wouldn't be surprised if somewhere in this region of the hail, note that that bigger area was here, if somewhere in here we see some hailstones that could go from 2 inches to maybe 5 inches, would not be surprised if we saw those. So I do want to look, before we go away from this model, what the wind is showing for this model. So something at this time that is a little bit weird, we are seeing all the wind on the back side of it. And looking at it, these cells individually will gain, as they get overnight, they will have individual pockets of some super damaging winds. But according to this, it's going to be the southern parts of this system, the southwestern parts, where we could see 85 mile per hour wind gusts according to this. So potential for the most damaging wind is looking to be when the squall line forms on that southern portion of it. So I'd watch out for that. But let's go ahead and go back to that reflectivity. And I do want to see, we'll come back to the CONUS here, but I do want to go through and see for this time what other models are showing of the same scan. So we were at 21Z for tomorrow. So this is interesting because this model up here, the HRW, WRF, ARW, is expecting that these storms, this is very interesting, the composite reflectivity for this model shows all of it being way out in front, which doesn't seem to quite be right because they are obviously not at that time going to be that way. So they are showing that this system is not going to form, but for some reason that does not feel right. I don't think it is very trustworthy on that same model. So if we go ahead and go down to the next one, we're just comparing all these and seeing what they are expecting. And you have to note at this time what they are expecting was forecasted last night, and so you have to be kind of loose on what all of these are, because this one was initialized last night at about 8 or 9 p.m. So that's why that these are going to be kind of off. So we could see that, according to this, is that it's the bigger cells here. So the common trend is big cells are going to be occurring up to the further north. If we go ahead and go to the NSSL, let's see if they have theirs put together yet. No, they don't. Okay. So all of these are agreeing that up here in this part of Minnesota, there's going to be a bigger cell that could form with some more hail and damaging winds. And just realize that this wasn't flashed ahead. So all this is how you could totally see that models are all messed up sometimes, because it shows that all of this is up here, that there is zero, none, zip occurring out over here at the time that we would be forecasting some of this. So I just clicked on Monday by accident. Okay, so we got it back, got it updated here, and just realized that we were on the Monday for that one scan. The other scans are both on Tuesday. This one was on Monday. So they are showing that that southern cell is going to be the more damaging wind-wise one. So if you want to look for some damaging wind and hail, and then potentially a lot of rain, you're going to be looking out for this bottom cell. These northern cells are going to form a squall line, but most expected storm development on the severe side is looking to be down here in the south. If we do look at kind of that later hour time, we do see that the storms, all the models are favoring this cell system here as to be the severe one. Now there could be some out in front, but they all are favoring right around dinner time this group of cells to be the most severe. You can see there's a little connection to this one. So if we go ahead and look back up here and see if they all agree with this, some of them are saying that no, this won't happen. There'll be one or two cells, and this is why they can be all wacky, is because looking at current models and looking at the ones that look at the future are showing that they are very different. Like this one has a further southwest look to it than individual cells. And if we go back to the NMMB, they are showing something that's quite interesting. They're showing that it's looking like it's going to be a bigger system with one little cell in between. But overall, we are targeting somewhere in this area. So yeah, overall looking at it, would not be surprised if we see that. Now I am going to start out with what they're expecting for the mixed layer cape here. So they're showing that it's entering that high cape environment down there in the 4800s. So I'm going to go ahead and go back up here. We're going to keep looking at that same time. We're going to go ahead and flash forward. Let's see if they have the most recent one posted yet. They still don't. Okay. So looking at this time, this is going to be Tuesday at 21, we said. It's going to be entering an area out here with cape in the 5000s. And that 5000s is going to be right in here. Then there's a line of it down in here. So that's why we're seeing, especially at this more northern system, that's why we're seeing the formation of the severe. Let me go ahead and undo that. The more severe out here and then a line through here. It's because we're seeing multiple influences allowing for some storm strength to kind of build. Then as we see with time dying off, it's going to be feeding this northern system as the more severe stuff occurs down in here. And as we go into the overnight hours, there's going to be a crazy amount of cape, though, up here with this. So definitely we'll be watching out in the overnight hours for this eastern cell system to take off. But the squall line is going to keep building, especially out in front of it. It has the energy to keep building. So looking at the most unstable cape, this is showing us where the most can happen. And it does support our area that somewhere in here is going to be our most severe threat. As we see, it goes up to 6,000 in a few places, and that is going to allow for some big time storms. So looking at this one, if you click on the 6,000s, they are saying that, you know, with that little bit of curvature in there, that there is a chance of tornadoes down in here. Hail is going to be significant in there, so that's why we are expecting some of these to go kind of a big time. They will really pop off. We'll see some big time stuff in this. Now, a lot of these cells you will see, they're not expecting a huge tornado threat with them. But hail is the big factor. So you're going to have to be in the right place at the right time to have a tornado with this. Especially in the overnight hours. If we look further to the east, we see that there really isn't a big tornado chance. Even though it says that the highest probability would be tornadoes, we're not expecting that as the biggest threat. Because there's such limited pockets of energy that are going to allow that. So, looking and agreeing that we'll say that this is the most severe time when the squall line forms. Looking in here, we do see that it's up in the 20s and stuff, and that is going to allow us to see more severe storms to form. And as you can see through here, it is looking like we have a few pockets of potential rotation with some supercells. And we're going to see that line all the way up through here out in front. But looking at tornado potential, see once again, very limited pockets. And they are saying that there's a 33% chance in this. Some higher levels, definitely a supercell in there. So, two areas I think we should look at is right before 9 p.m., in this area, I'd be watching in that really, if you would draw a line to cut Minnesota in half, it'd be to the right of if you would draw a boot kind of here. That's a horrible boot, but it's right in here on this northeastern edge of this squall line that could form. It will be linked to the storms that come out of this, because once again, if we look at the arrows, they are traveling in this direction that does cover all of that. So I would watch if you are in that area. So we'll go ahead and flip back and finish up this forecast here. So looking at tomorrow, what you can expect are two areas of severity. Our big high precipitation hail makers will occur out over here, and then we will see that most severe threat just south of Minneapolis, and we will see it right in here in this bubble that I'm filling in. And if you're anywhere in these two, we'll go ahead and just draw some lines, make this like a waffle. And this will be the hail, the waffle will, and then this will be the tornado threat. Then the wind threat is going to be all the way through here. And this does support overall that the storms are traveling in this direction. So the hail makers are going to be traveling into this area. So definitely watch out. And all of this overall will be severe. So that does it for today's briefing. Sorry for the technical difficulties. About halfway through, the models weren't loading the same times that they should have, but they are updating them right now. So that's not surprising. But overall, we will get better at these briefings as we go through, because briefings right now are a little weird because you have to just get the right time of day to do these briefings. And today, we decided with schedules and stuff that it'd be easier to do a briefing right here in the morning hours while they're updating them. So as of right now in the morning hours, it is still before noon. I would keep watching throughout the day today to be ready for these storms, because it looks like they're getting more and more severe, and the potential for them is traveling a little further to the west. So definitely, if you're on the parallel just north of Iowa, and if you live anywhere north of Iowa, south of Minneapolis, I'd be watching in that area, because that is where our biggest storms are going to be, and they are traveling to the east, southeast. So they are preferring that eastern travel to the south. So, and watch out for that, and we remind you to be weather ready, and we hope to see you back for our daily forecasts. And if there is another briefing, we will get them at a better time. So thank you all again. We hope to see you soon.